from your perspective, what does a business like that, let's call it the ghost kitchen in general, and what are the different kind of business models, and how do you get a business like that profitable? Because in the end, that's all about it. And we know that, of course, there is a lot of businesses that get a lot of investment money and money to burn in order to get it growing. But in the end, everybody needs to be profitable, especially in these times. So how does a business like that get profitable?
Oh, big question. We could spend the rest of the podcast talking about that one. I think there's a number of ways to look at this. First of all, it's about thinking about the restaurant partner that the ghost kitchen is working with. And I think that is something that a lot of ghost kitchens perhaps made a misstep on early on, in the sense that look at the appeal of what a ghost kitchen offer is actually offering restaurants. It's saying you can grow your business in a very capital light way, and actually, it should be a very quick transition for you to be able to do that. It sounds very attractive, particularly to the smaller independent restaurant who perhaps doesn't have the means to be able to expand at the rate that some of the giants out there do. But here's the problem. The problem is around when you don't have a front of house, when you don't have a brand on the door, when you don't have a presence in a market, you have to grow that brand. You have to be able to have a certain level of digital marketing competence to be able to drive the necessary attention on the online airwaves, if you will, to be able to attract people's attention. And part of the challenge here is that a lot of restaurants, quite honestly, some of the even larger restaurant groups really struggle with digital marketing. The role of a CMO 10 years ago to the role of a modern restaurant CMO today is very, very different. And I think ghost kitchens sometimes get a bad rap because there are restaurants that go into a ghost kitchen, fail because they don't get a sufficient amount of revenue, and therefore churn out of that particular ghost kitchen. Now, coming back to the top of your question, ghost kitchens struggle because if they don't have successful restaurants, they have high churn, and that churn costs money. And therefore you end up, like any landlord would, with the cost of being able to attract more restaurants into working with them. So I think the crux of it, Carl, is how do you attract customers to learn about your business, and how do you become better at digital marketing? Those ghost kitchens that are helping restaurants with digital marketing, those that are helping with presence, those that are better at selecting which brands, which operators are better for their model, are probably the ones that are going to find a better success. And then the last thing I'd say is there's something around holistic technology here, the way in which restaurants that come in can actually utilize technology in a way that really helps them really run a lean operation, an operation that allows you to be able to execute as efficiently as possible. And the technology that a lot of ghost kitchens are starting to use now, one, for example, a cluster truck over here in the US, is actually an end-to-end technology suite that's really helping everything from the orders coming in through to the actual fulfillment of those orders, the timing of when the fire time actually triggers, through to the actual handoff to the drivers. And that holistic technology suite, I think, is particularly interesting because it does not only help run an efficient operation, but it also helps make sure the customer, the end guest, gets their food as fast as possible. Because I would argue food coming out of a ghost kitchen, given the fact that ghost kitchens have been designed for off-premise success, should be the best form of food to have delivered. Maybe they are not today, but I think that's the challenge that any ghost kitchen operator needs to consider.